Ash, in the middle of some really interesting conditions here at the 2016 Sebring Sport Aviation Expo. Cold and windy outside, and it's raining inside the building in here, so we're not quite sure what's going on. Seems like a good time to catch up with what you've been working on lately. I know you've been nose to the grindstone at Guardian Avionics trying to get the latest, greatest app out. Tell us what you're doing now.
Well, what we have done is we have finished off as a product. It's a flight data recorder. It's called our iMFD 650. What it does is that it's actually our famous CO detector with a built-in dual USB charger, 2.1 amp. And then it also is connecting to the iPad or iPhone, either via Bluetooth or through hardwire. So the pilot can see all his data on the MFD onto his iPad. Once the airplane touches down, then all the data that's stored on the box itself goes back to the iPad, and that iPad or iPhone sends the data back to the cloud. And then within about 2 minutes after the flight, all that data is crunched, and then the owner can log in and see his data on the cloud, engine data, his GPS data, and he can either share his data, export his data, and then see all his whole history on his flight.
Now, the in-airframe recorder is pulling data from what sources?
Okay, so it's pulling data from two sources. One is from the GPS, and then also from the engine data. So like if you have a JPI or a G3X. In other words, we're taking the flight plan data, the GPS longitude, latitude data. On the G3X, we're getting all the AHRS data, speed, vertical speed, altimeter settings, everything that we can take off the data bus.
Now, from your standpoint and the people that you're working with and the customers that you've obviously been talking to, how can this data be utilized in the future? What is its value?
The biggest value is to really understand your aeroplane. Like, for example, if I have a 172 and you have a 172, you and I can share our data. You can say, okay, my fuel burn was this thing, my gallons were this thing. Hey, you can see my number 4 EGT is running high. What can I do? And the biggest challenge with engine analysis is to getting the data. So this is really two forms. One is to take the data as iPads are becoming more and more common on the aeroplane, to use all that data in flight, because an iPad can crunch the numbers very quickly, all different directions in flight. And then when you touch down, all that data can now be on the cloud, and the server can crunch that data however you want it. So it's really trying to get all the engine data easily to the cloud.
Coincidentally, as iPads and other tablets become more and more a part of our cockpits, you also build cockpit docks for these things, don't you?
Yes. And
you're just going to tie this whole thing up into one big package, aren't you?
It is. The whole goal is a complete package where the person can see his dock. If he's flying with, say, ForeFlight or WingX, he can use that. Then he can use our flight data, our data recorder, put that data in, make the airplane look a nice flush, and everything's being done in the background where you don't really see. It's like a power of an iPhone. You don't know how the heck is doing all this data in the background, but it's doing all that, and that's what we're kind of trying to do the same.
How equipped are you to be able to handle divergent devices? Are you just an iOS right now, or can you handle some of the Android tablets and all?
Right now, the reason we went for the Apple is the hardest to get. So our next thing, our goal is by Oshkosh, we'll have the Android version out. Right now we've been kind of concentrating on iOS, but the main reason is the power of the iOS and the ability to really crunch all the data.
Ash Vij of Guardian Avionics, we sure appreciate your time here at the 2016 Sebring Sport Aviation Expo. Try to stay dry, and for God's sake, stay warm.
Thank you.
Aero-TV is brought to you by...
Since 2001, MGL Avionics has produced avionics for experimental and light sport aircraft. The flagship product is the iDevices, a comprehensive next-generation flight, engine, and navigation instrument designed to meet the demands of the modern pilot. See more at www.mglavionics.com.
Based on the popular Sling 2 LSA, the Sling 4 was designed to be the most practical and desirable lightweight four-place experimental aircraft on the market. Find out more about this 115 horsepower turbocharged airplane at airplanefactory.com.